we are a magical place. Aren't we lucky that we live here? You know we're left of center and everybody thinks we're crazy, and the heartland especially thinks we're nuts. But at the end of the day, we like it here. And why do we like it here? Well, we like it here because, one, San Francisco's an international city. We love the fact that we have Stanford and Cal. We love the fact that we're like cowboys almost. We're very entrepreneurial. We're creators. We're innovators. We're very, very fast-moving. We don't like slow people. We don't like people that aren't decision makers. We like the Steve Jobs of the world. They did make a difference in the world. We have Silicon Valley. They create there. They're not duplicators. They have created so much wealth for so many people. We love Silicon Valley. And you know what? We like capitalism in that form here. Most of us do. And so at the end of the day, it's a magical place. So California, $25 billion of deficit this year, went to 19. All of a sudden, those people in Sacramento found out they weren't going to get paid. Boy, did we have a balanced budget. The governor basically vetoed it. It was a crap budget. He's 72. He doesn't give a rat's ass. He's not running again. So he said, go back to school. I'll lock you in there. They finally come up, and you know what? It's all balanced now. You know why? The magic of Silicon Valley. You have all these companies now going public in the next 18 months. You have them doing really well in Silicon Valley. There's not a problem down there. So at the end of the day, California, and that's probably why our real estate market will end up being better. Now, let me talk a little bit about real estate, all right? You know, real estate to me is a very interesting industry because I think when you go back and you look at it, we got it down pretty good. You know, we understood that it's seasonal, it's local. Basically, we went in neighborhoods. You understood the first-term buyer who came in, who then stayed there for 5 or 6 years. They put 30% down in the old world. Then they moved up and became the organic buyer. And then, obviously, they went up and they became the high-end buyer. And life was wonderful, and we would go in, and we had good times and bad times. But, you know, here we've been really lucky, and if you look at it over the last 30 years, it's really appreciated, adjusted for inflation, about 5 or 6%. And at the end of the day, interest rates were 7%, but of course they were at 16. They've been down, but on average 7%. People made enough incomes here that they could afford it. That was the old real estate market, you know. It was pretty simple and pretty nice. Now let's talk about the real estate market today, because it's very different. The real estate market today, first of all, is extremely complex. You go into any neighborhood, and you could have 5 or 6 different kinds of sellers there. It's not the seller that you used to have, and I don't know what the comps mean, because you can show me 5 comps, and it depends on the seller what that comp is going to be like. It could be overpriced, underpriced. It could be somebody stressed. It could be a bank. It could be a servicer. It could be somebody that has an international investor. It could be somebody holding a property that they just want to spin and basically get rid of. And at the end of the day, all those people have a different strategy. Even if the prices are similar, what you're going to negotiate, how flexible they're going to be, is going to make a difference. It could be a new developer. They're going to give everything away and they become your competition. So I don't know who the seller is anymore, and I can go in a neighborhood, and you're going to see all of that as soon as you go in there. Then you've got buyers. Who in the hell is the buyer that's going in? If it's foreclosures and short sales, it's going to be all cash and investor, and pretty soon the big hedge funds that are coming in. Then you got business. That's not going to be a bunch of little investors putting up $5 grand, 10, 20, 30, 40 apiece. You got a Goldman Sachs coming in with $1 billion fund. They're going to go direct to the banks. They're going to buy 300 of these properties, and then they're either going to spin them, refinance them, turn them, put them back on the market, etc. So at the end of the day, that's going to totally change the foreclosure and short sale market. Oh, are there enough out there that we're going to have that market for a few years? Yes, we are. We're going to have that market out to 2015 because they got about 8 million of them sitting there. And I'll tell you something else. The high end is going to get more of them. You haven't seen them yet because you're going to come into them basically at a lower pace in time. You're going to come in after some of the other areas. But believe me, I will guarantee you that over the next year, you're going to see more foreclosures and short sales than you've seen in prior years. Now, what does that mean to us? It means that basically that becomes your entry market. There it is. And that's a totally different buyer than you're used to because it's going to be investors all cash, institutional investors, international investors, and here's what's going to happen. Some of your areas, see, not in Los Altos, but let's go over to Vallejo, let's go over to Richmond, let's go to Daly City, let's go basically to parts of San Mateo. What's going to happen is you have lived in this wonderful world, the American dream. What's the American dream? It's owning a home, community, lifestyle, getting in the right school district for your child. Well, you see, you had to buy in order to do that. But today, in some of these areas, and not Los Altos, but if you work the fringes of some of these areas, you know what's going to happen? Pretty soon, you're not going to have to buy in order to get the school district and the community and the lifestyle. Because some of these areas that were 80% home ownership and 20% rental, they're going to flip totally. And they're going to become basically 60% rental, 40% home ownership. And you know what? Somebody can go rent, they don't need to buy. So at the end of the day, I will guarantee you, I could go into Los Altos today, to the best neighborhood in this area, and I'll bet you I could ring doorbells. And if I said to somebody, I'll pay you $40,000 a month, will you move out of your house so I can rent it? You want to make a bet I'll find a house to rent by 6 o'clock tonight? Not only that, they'll probably give me their furniture, their children, their mother-in-law, their husband, and everything else. So at the end of the day, what I'm trying to say to you is, that's a huge challenge. That's a new rule of real estate. That what you had, the first-time buyer that bought, may now be the first-time buyer that can't even get in because they can't qualify for the loan, and therefore, ergo, you're going to have investor, all cash, big corporations, big pension plans that are going to drive the first-time buyer for us. That changes the market substantially. Your first-time buyer now is going to move up the scale. That's a good thing for you. It's going to be the middle tier of the market. It's going to be all the people that want to live in Los Altos and Cupertino and Mountain View and Palo Alto, all cash because they can. Basically, they can get a loan. So that's going to become your first-time buyer, and maybe that's the buyer that you want to basically zone in on. Because I think here, next year, that's going to be an active pocket of the market, and I think it's going to be multi-offer in many cases. So that changes the whole region and the whole structure of what happens. What else is important? Let's talk about lending. Oh my God, I remember when lending was 17%. We paid that interest, and when it went to 12, we thought we died and went to heaven. We would never have thought of buying a home without putting 20% down. Oh my God, you wouldn't have done that. At the end of the day, we went through this period where we had the loosey-goosey, everybody was ATMing it. Why would you want to put anything down? It doesn't matter if you work or you don't work, just put what you like, everything is fine. Okay, fine, now we know we've come back the other way. Interest rates, very low, right? The lowest you've had in the last 50 years. A good thing, but let me tell you what's happened on the other side. On the other side, let me tell you, I just did a big seminar for the Bank of America. And the president of the Bank of America was there, and here's their problem. You might hate Wall Street, you hate the banks, great. Let's hate them all, okay? They did a lot of rotten things, we get it. Here's the problem today. On the one hand, the government's pushing them to do loans. Okay, get out there. Low interest rates, give everybody a loan. On the other side, at the Bank of America, here's their problem. They basically bought Countrywide. The government encouraged them to do that. They bought Merrill Lynch. The government demanded that they buy that. So they got all this crap sitting on their books now. They have a $50 billion reserve that they have to keep against what they think is going to be liability. He said, here's the problem. All the robo-signing that started, remember that? That delayed everything. Now they have a process. They have to do Psychology 101 now. So you have somebody in foreclosure, you have to give them one person, you have to try loan modification, you got to try Hoffa, Kumbaya, do you like it, do you not like it? Gee, can we help you? Well, you don't have a job, but maybe we can do this, that, or whatever. Okay, fine. At the end of the day, you can't do anything, so you're going to put them in foreclosure or short sale. That delays the process. Here's the biggest problem they have. He said you go to these basically loan documents, right? And the government tells you no more robo-signing, you got to clean them up, they want them all I, T, cross, perfect, right? He said the first thing is you look at who owned the property. You go try to find that person. That person never existed, it was a straw buyer, that's number one. Number two, you got 18,000 people that lived in this house. It was never residential. It was basically a halfway house, that's what it was. At the end of the day, these people never made any money. They never worked at these places. So you've got a pile this thick of 45,000 things that never come up, and you're supposed to clear it up. Oh, it's a bigger problem than that. Now you go and you say, okay, fine. The government wants to fine you for robo-signing. 28 states are suing them for basically not doing correctly the foreclosure and short sale process. Now wait, 28,000 individuals are suing them because they want their houses back. Because you never should have done this, you did robo-signing. So he said, here we are, I have 223,000 of these sitting in my system. And at the end of the day, here's the problem. Somebody bought the house. That person now is being told, you may have to get out of your house because the buyer wants the house back. Well, the buyer wants the house back because the buyer's saying you didn't do this correctly. So if I give the buyer the house back, what am I going to do with the person that bought the house? Where am I supposed to put them? So you begin to see the problem at the end of the day. So he said, if you think I want to be in the loan, let me help everybody get in the house business, you must be out of your mind at the end of the day. So that's some of the things that they're facing there. Now, you know what else has happened. Fannie and Freddie, in conservatorship, you do know that. Now, here's what's going to happen with them, I think. $150 billion we've given them to guarantee 90% of every loan done in America. No private investor will really do a loan anymore, except for the high jumbos if you're Bill Gates, without having a Fannie and Freddie guarantee it. So what are they doing? They want to get out of that business, but they don't quite know how. So I'm going to tell you what I think is going to happen over the next 3 or 4 years. They'll argue about it because they're idiots back there, but at the end of the day, I think they're going to do two things with Fannie and Freddie. They're going to put it back in the public market, so that's the capital that's going to come in because the taxpayers can't keep writing the check. And then what they're going to do is set up a regulatory board that will decide who and what can basically buy their loans and who and what the qualifications will be. So it'll run like a utility company. It's quasi-public. At the end of the day, here's what we know. Starting April 1, they put what they called a no-risk aversion fee on every Fannie and Freddie loan. You may not know that, but it's there. And you're paying for it in increased interest over the life of the loan. And if you're 850 FICO and you basically put 30% down, it doesn't matter. You're still paying 0.25% of the value of that loan. And if you're less than 850 and you're 700 and you only put down 10%, you're paying up to 3% against the value of that loan. So at the end of the day, interest rates are low, but they're adding fees. The other thing is the cap just got moved, and that absolutely now is a certainty. They're not going to go back and change it. So from 729, 750, it went to 625, 500. Now that's great for you because here you'll make it. You have homes that are much more expensive than that. But I'm in Carmel the other day, and this woman says, oh, that's not so bad. It's only $100,000. I said, excuse me. It goes by the average price in your county. Your county is $431,000. So if somebody goes down to Carmel and they want an $800,000 house, they got to come up now with $300,000 or $400,000 in cash because they just moved their cap. So at the end of the day, the lending market, the interest rates are very low, but the lender has to like you. They have to like the asset. They may like condominiums. Maybe they love Los Altos, but they don't like Daly City. There's all kinds of fees that they put on, and then at the end of the day, they don't give a rat's ass whether you get the loan or not. Okay. So at the end of the day, that's lending. That's very different than we have moved along with. Is there anything good I'm talking about in the real estate market? Yes, there is. Let me tell you, real estate is the best asset out there. Now, we are being killed by the media, and I'm going to tell you something. It's your fault and mine, because we're allowing them to do that. We are allowing them to take statistics that don't even apply, and we are still trying to sell this as the American dream. And you can't do it anymore. You can't sell it as the American dream, because what has the American dream been? You get in, you stay there, it goes up in value, it allows you the opportunity to live someplace that somebody else can't. There was the American dream. Well, you can't get in as easily anymore. You don't need to buy it to get into the community to live where nobody else can live. I can't tell you it's going to appreciate next year. It may not. And at the end of the day, it's a whole different process. So now, let's get away from all this puff at the top. It's nice. It's the icing on the cake. But where in the hell's the cake? So let's get back to the cake. How do you begin to talk to these people? You have to begin to talk about real estate as an asset. Now let's define an asset. An asset is a vehicle that you invest in, that over time, if you do it correctly with value, time, and money, it will appreciate for you if you do it correctly. Now let me talk about where the value of real estate is. It's in the land. I don't care what's on top of it. You can tear it down, you can add to it, you can build a Taj Mahal. What the hell do I care what you do? At the end of the day, if you don't buy where land is limited, where there's more demand than supply, and where it's a high-growth, hard area to do it in, you're not buying the asset right. So great, let's run to Las Vegas, Nevada. Let's buy 47 homes up there, along the 125,000 that are vacant in one county. Highest foreclosure area in the nation. Let's go to Florida, where we can buy a condominium for $27,000. The problem is, it won't be built until 2020. The developer will go under and it'll never get built. And if it does, it'll be floating in the ocean because of a hurricane. Oh, let's do all that. That's really good. No. Let's buy in San Francisco, in the San Francisco Bay Area. Oh my God. Are you going to have any more land in Los Altos? I bet you have more demand than supply here. And I'll bet you if I came in here and I wanted to build a house or anything else, I'll bet you I'd have to go to a planning committee shit, and I bet you I'd have to go through hell before they'd allow me to do it. So at the end of the day, value. That's the first key. The next thing is, let's talk about real estate now, and the biggest plus you have. It's how you finance it.